Hola y buenos días. Yo soy el señor Morris. Soy el maestro de español. Well, I tell you what, let's have the students ask each other the questions today, okay? Everybody go ahead and get together. Please go ahead and practice in your room. Ask each other, ¿Cómo estás? And remember to answer back. And if somebody tells you, estoy mal, you can tell them, pobrecito. Today, we'll do an activity with the alphabet. We're going to review the things that we were talking about during our last class. And then we'll talk about some other Spanish-speaking countries of the world. But let's get started with our opening song. Canten conmigo. Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo se sienten? Yo me siento bien. Yeah. Muy bien. Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and start by reviewing the alphabet in preparation for a spelling activity. Por favor, presten atención y repitan todos.
A. América. B. Biblioteca. C. Ciudad. Che. Chico. D. Dos. E. Escuela. F. Familia. G. Gobierno. H. Hospital. I. Iberia. J. Juego. K. Kilo. L. Libro. Y. Llama. M. México. N. 9. Ñ. Ñoclo. O. Oficina. P. Policía. Q. 15. R. Restaurante. R. Correos. S. 7. T. Tío. U. 1. B. 20. W. Washington. X. Xilófono. Y. Yo. Z. Zoológico.
Zoológico, muy bien. Ahora, saquen papel y lápiz o pluma, feather, para escribir estas palabras. That's right. Instead of writing the letters today, you're going to be writing entire words. Okay? Now, Spanish is a phonetic language. So if you listen carefully to the sounds of the words as I say them, you should be able to write the entire word out. Okay? Well, let's go ahead and try it and see how you do. Try this one. Everybody, write the word polo. Polo. Can you hear the sounds? Polo. Go ahead and write that out. Did you write down polo? P-O-L-O. Polo. Did you get that? Okay. Well, let's try another one. That one's pretty easy. How about this one? Norte. 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 T-E. Did you get the word N-O-R-T-O? Norte. Norte. Did you get that one? Okay, muy bien. Well, right now I'll give you some letters that we'll use for our scrambled word of the day, okay? Escriben estas letras. Ready? P, A, S, A, Ñ, E. P-A-S-A, Ñ, E. Okay, did you write these down like this? P-A-S-A, Ñ, that's the N with the tilde, E. Pasañe. Pasañe. Now, those are the letters of one of the words that we'll be discussing today during our instruction. See if you can recognize it as we're going through the material today. Okay, well, let's go ahead and look at the map of the world to see if we can start off by answering this question. ¿En qué hemisferio está México? ¿En qué hemisferio está México? Now, to help you answer that, I've included a couple of lines here on the world map. Aquí está el Ecuador, the equator, y el primer meridiano, and the prime meridian there. And those divide up the hemispheres, right? So, aquí está México. You can see that it's right here. You can answer, está en el hemisferio norte, right? Because it's north of the equator, el hemisferio norte. But you can also see, está en el hemisferio occidental. El hemisferio occidental. Right. So it's actually two. Well, try this one then. ¿En qué hemisferio está África? Well, that one's tougher, isn't it? ¿En qué hemisferio está África? Well, we can see está en el norte, right? En el hemisferio norte. También, it is also en el hemisferio sur. Está en el hemisferio oriental y también está en el hemisferio occidental. So, wow, we named all four of the hemispheres when we were talking about Africa. Now remember that we talked about how the weather varied depending on how close you are to the equator? Let's review those different regions again right now. Now we said that there are places on the earth close to the equator that have un clima cálido. And that's like calor, it's hot, right? We also said that up at the poles, at the North and South Pole, es un clima frío, un clima frío. Un clima frío, that means it's a cold climate. Hay lugares in between these two that have un clima de 4 estaciones, un clima de 4 estaciones, 4 seasons, y también hay places that have un clima templado. It's not hot, but it doesn't have the 4 seasons. That's un clima templado. Now, we also said, remember that there are the places with 4 seasons? Well, let's go ahead and go over the seasons again quickly right now. The first one, el otoño. You guys know these pretty well by now, I hope. Can you say that? El otoño. After otoño comes el invierno. El invierno. Right. And that is what? Winter. That's right. Nieva, the snow falls. Y hace frío. Then we have primavera, where it rains and it's windy. Right. Llueve, hace viento. And finally, el verano. Hace sol. Hace calor. It's hot. It's sunny. Hace buen tiempo. It's a nice climate. Now, last class we talked about the countries here in the Americas where Spanish is spoken. But there are some other countries where they speak Spanish. First of all, what country is the language named for? What country is Spanish named for? That's right, Spain. En español es España. Here it is, España. Now, Spain is located on this, which is called the Iberian Peninsula of Europe, along with the country of Portugal right there. Now, the official language of Spain is called Castilian. Now, Castilian is the language that we are studying. In Spain and many parts of the world, it's known as Castilian because there are other languages which are also spoken in Spain. Like in certain northern provinces of the country, like up around here, people speak a language known as Catalan. Around this part, people speak a language called Basque, which is sometimes called Euskera. In the northwest part of the country, over here, in an area called Galicia, people speak a language called Galician or Gallego. Now, while the northern part of the country has been held by Europeans for over 1,000 years, down here, this southern part of the country was held by Muslims from the north of Africa and the Middle East for almost 700 years before Ferdinand and Isabel drove the last of the Moorish kings from Spain, and that happened in 1492. Now, do you recognize the significance of this year? It's the year that Columbus set sail for his first trip to the Americas. As a matter of fact, Ferdinand and Isabel from Spain were the king and queen who sponsored Columbus's first trip by paying for his ships. Now, Castilian Spanish, as it's spoken in Spain, is a little different from the Spanish that we're learning here. For example, the Z sound is pronounced as a TH, so that the word zoológico would be pronounced zoológico. Zoológico. Yeah. That's kind of like the difference that you hear between someone who speaks English here in the United States as opposed to a speaker from England who might say house instead of house. Another country that you might not think of as being a Spanish-speaking country is located in North America. Spanish isn't the official language of this country, but there isn't an official language in this country. This country has more Spanish speakers than many of the countries that we talked about last time. It's the country called Los Estados Unidos de América. There it is. Yeah, it's the United States of America. There are a lot of Spanish-speaking people here in the U.S. Now, remember from our last lesson when we were talking about the seasons being reversed on different sides of the equator? Well, let's see how well you remember this. Okay? Cuando están en invierno en Chile, ¿en qué estación estamos aquí en los Estados Unidos? So, here's Chile. Cuando están en invierno en Chile, invierno, ¿en qué estación estamos? That's right. Well, we are in verano because it's the opposite season. Invierno, verano. Please review the things that we've been studying, the continents and oceans and all of those lines on the map again, with this video, where we get ready to go over the activity sheet for today. Ahora, pongan atención y repitan todos. Los océanos y los continentes. El océano Pacífico. El océano Atlántico. El océano Ártico. El océano Índico. América del Norte. América del Sur. Asia. Europa. África. Australia. Antártida. El Ecuador es uno de los paralelos. El Ecuador divide la Tierra en dos partes. El hemisferio norte y el hemisferio sur. El primer meridiano es uno de los meridianos. Los meridianos pasan por el polo norte y el polo sur. El primer meridiano divide el hemisferio en dos partes. El hemisferio oriental y el hemisferio occidental. Muy bien. Let's go ahead and look at our activity sheet for today. It's called Los Hemisferios. Los Hemisferios. There you go. Go ahead and get your name on it. Roberto. Soy yo. Now here we've got a couple of maps. You can see el Ecuador divide América del Norte, América del Sur, the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, hemisferio norte, hemisferio sur. And then we can see that el primer meridiano here divide el hemisferio occidental y el hemisferio oriental. Right. So now you can find all of your hemispheres there. Let's go down and look at the questions. ¿En qué hemisferios está el océano Ártico? El océano Ártico. Well, if we look at this real closely, I can see el océano Ártico is right here, and it's over on this one too. So, if we look at our question here, I've kind of given you a hint. There are 3 blanks. So it's going to be el hemisferio norte in one, el hemisferio occidental in another, and el hemisferio oriental in the third. So this will, counting up how many blanks there are, will give you a hint as to how many you're supposed to answer. And look at this one. ¿En qué hemisferios está África? Well, we went over that one, and you can see how many blanks there are there on that. So you guys go ahead and take a few minutes whenever your teacher gives you some time and look at that and see if you can get that finished up. Today, we reviewed most of the stuff that we've been doing during this unit, and we discussed 2 more Spanish-speaking countries of the world. By the way, did anyone figure out our scrambled word for today? Remember the letters were P-A-S-A-N-Y-E? Did you unscramble that and get the word? España. España. Now, next class, we'll do some more review, and I'll tell you some interesting facts about some of the Spanish-speaking countries of the world that we've been talking about so far. Pero ¿saben qué? Ya es hora de despedirnos. For our goodbye song today, let's sing Cielito Lindo. Okay? Ahora, canten conmigo. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Muy bien. Until our next class. Adiós y hasta luego.